Hi, everybody. Just getting everybody logged on. I think there's somebody else still waiting. Yes, there is. My bad. Okay, let's get y'all in here. How's everybody doing today? We'll see if anybody has questions. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask. And we'll get going. I know people have got questions. So for those of us that had somebody that vacated during the COVID pandemic and you've been waiting to sue them in small claims court, now. We thought we'd see a big influx in small claims cases. We don't. So go get those filed, get working on that. If you're outside of LA County and San Diego County, you have a lot more teeth than you think you do, both for non-payment of rent and for a nuisance case. So if you're outside of LA County and outside of San Diego County, talk to your legal counsel, get these evictions filed. Let's start rebuilding, rebooting, and reloading. Okay, we've been drowning long enough. For those of you outside of RSO, you can increase rents now. So, you know, if you have RSO and you're governed by RSO, you cannot do a rent increase until 60 days after the state of emergency expires. It will be extended to match the state law, most likely. So keep that in mind. And keep in mind what your limits are for increases, you guys. It's not worth the lawsuit that follows. If you are governed by statewide rent control, which passed right at the beginning of the pandemic, folks, then you could be limited on how much of an increase you can do. Outside of the outside of statewide rent control, if you're not governed, you're still limited to a maximum of 10%, both in commercial and residential. Pay attention. That's the one that'll land you a jail sentence if you're not careful. So no rent increases over 10% across the state. Okay. Okay, everybody got that? Do not do a rent increase for more than 10%. It's not worth jail time, 6 months, and a $10,000 fine. It's called price gouging during a state of emergency, and is California's, not a civil code. It's California Penal Code 396, subparagraph B, specifically talks about price gouging on rental housing during a state of emergency. So if you guys are raising rents out there, just be careful that you don't go over 10%. None of us look good in orange. Just saying, we don't want to go to jail. Well, I don't know about you. I don't want to go to jail. All right. Does anybody have any questions anywhere they want me to focus today so we can get your questions answered and make sure you're getting good, solid information? Anybody? Nobody's got nothing. Everybody's perfect in everybody's lives. Hey. Oh, here we go. I'm gearing up. Sorry, Val, I'm gearing up to increase rent. Sending out next week will be effective March 1st. Yep. Okay. I think my current area is 8.6. My other concern is pets. I usually charge $150 pet fee plus $10 to $15 pet rent. Just about every one of my tenants have unauthorized pets, and another tenant dropped off their renter's insurance. Yay for renter's insurance. Pets, you're outside of LA County, so start serving notice on unauthorized pets, or letting them know they're going to get a bill for $150 fee plus the monthly pet rent. So start sending them letters, cure or quit, and give them the option. Hi, Patty. If the eviction is filed and the tenants start with the rental assistance, what is your advice? Thank you for asking me my advice, but I can't give you advice. I'm not an attorney. It's going to go like this. My opinion is like this. What city is a property located in? And why do I ask that? I'll tell you why I asked that. Fontana. Okay. The reason why I asked what city the property's in, because if it's anywhere in LA County, here's what I could tell you. Heavily populated areas have heavy restrictions for landlords. Example, San Diego County. You can't do anything in the whole county right now. Okay. City of LA, same thing, heavily populated area. They can't increase rents. They can't terminate tenancy for unauthorized occupants or unauthorized pets because of COVID, yada, yada, yada. The more populated an area is, the more restrictions there are on a landlord. So that's why I ask what city you're in before I tell you my opinion, just so we're all on the same page. So you're in Fontana. If an eviction is filed and the tenants start rental assistance, what's my advice? Continue on with the eviction if it's already filed. One of two things is going to happen. You're going to get paid and you're going to have to dismiss the case because you got paid. Or you're going to proceed with an eviction and actually get a judgment on your behalf, probably not for the money, but for possession. So as nicely as I could say this, stay the course. One of two things is going to happen. You're going to get a trial date and the judge is going to rule in your favor. And as nicely as I could say this, you might want to try just asking for possession right now. A lot of courts are not issuing money judgments because of COVID, because of the pandemic. So stop trying to get it. Just go for possession. That's what we all want anyway, right? We have up to 4 years on a written contract to go back and sue them in small claims court for the money that's owed to us. We used to use an eviction for 3 purposes: possession, a money judgment. Hang on, let me let Jay in. Okay. So we use eviction for a reason. Eviction is for possession. Period. End of report. If you get a money judgment thrown in there, that's a bonus. People don't understand that. Not all evictions come with a money judgment. Okay. So right now, what we're finding is that if we let go of the money and tell them that we'll pursue that at a later date in a different court or a different setting, and we just want possession for eviction court, the chances of it going smoothly are higher. And that just applies right now. You got to remember that what's happening in the court system changes about every 30 to 60 days. So right now, you're fine with pursuing an eviction outside of LA County for non-payment of rent. It depends on the court. It depends on the judge. What I would do if I were you is contact your legal counsel and ask them what they're seeing happen at Fontana courts for possession judgments for tenants that have applied for the money. Are they telling them the tenant applied, they complied, we're dismissing your case? Or are they telling them, you still haven't been paid, landlord needs their money, you're getting evicted? So find out from your legal counsel which way the judge is ruling in that area. Okay. But here's my opinion, not my advice. If you're already in the eviction, stay there until you can't. Okay. You're already there. Don't shift gears now. The tenants dropped their renter's insurance. Val, serve them a 3-day curable breach of covenant for the renter's insurance and the pet fee. Yes. You need to give them an option on the pet. There's different ways they can remedy it. So they're in violation by having an unauthorized pet. Okay. They can do several things to fix it. They can get rid of the pet. They can pay the additional pet fee and pet rent monthly. You get where I'm coming from? So there's a few things you can do. I'm letting people in, you guys, just hang on. So there's a few things that you can do to give them options, if you will. You can tell them to get rid of the pet, the unauthorized pet. You can tell them about the pet rent. You can give them options in the curable if you choose. I wouldn't put that on a curable, actually. Yeah, I would put it on a curable. So a cure or quit notice, okay? for both of those issues. And then let me go back up. Yes, renter's insurance is a must. And the pet fee, yes, and I'd give them an option with the pet, whether they want to remove the pet entirely, add them with the additional pet fees and your pet addendum, explaining to them that they must follow the rules. But yeah, you can give them options of what they choose to do. And if they choose to do nothing, then you can pursue eviction based on that. We cannot do evictions in LA County right now for unauthorized pets or unauthorized occupants. So whatever you guys do not accept rent from the unauthorized tenant in the property, okay? They're unauthorized, but they're protected because of COVID, okay? So the time isn't yet to drop the hammer on that shenanigans in LA County. So in LA County, just hold on. Just buckle up and hold on. But in other areas, we are able to do evictions for that. We're actually being very successful with lockout dates and so forth. So if you're sitting on an eviction outside of LA County and outside of San Diego County, you may want to consider talking to your legal counsel and looking at what your options are. At this point, evictions are going through. We're seeing lockouts happen. We're getting our life back, okay? Don't give up. But sometimes that helps tremendously. Let me see if we have more chats. I didn't see our money girl come in today. Let me see if April's on here. I don't think she is. She is not. April is not on here. Just so you guys know, she's done a little bit of research and she's collected over $330,000 in government funds since pandemic started. So she is our money girl. She's our money guru and she knows how to get them to pay, let me tell you. So hopefully she'll be back with us next Wednesday and give us an update again on the money. For those of you that are wanting to do an eviction, please take note that in order to file the eviction, you have to have applied for the government funds and waited at least 20 days. It is one of the requirements on the new cover sheet for your legal counsel. There's quite a few questions in regards to the money, the application status, when you applied, your case number, etc. If it's missing any of that, the chances of your eviction being filed are they diminish, as nicely as I could say this. Okay, Val, let's see what you're saying. For long-term tenants, can I force them to get renter's insurance if they've not had it before? Absolutely. Give them a 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy, telling them that they're now required to have renter's insurance. And you're not in LA County, correct? Just so everybody can hear you say, no, I'm in Kern County. Please tell us what county you're in just to verify. No LA. She's not in LA County, you guys. That's why I'm able to tell her this. So you can do a 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy, requesting that the tenant get renter's insurance. Here's my opinion, not my advice. I would wait to serve that notice so that it takes effect on April Fool's Day, or you serve it on April Fool's Day so that nobody, sorry, somebody tried to call me, so that nobody tries to, I lost my train of thought. That phone call just messed me up because I know what that person wants. I need to talk to her. Hold on, let me go back and read it again. Okay. So you, Val, I'm sorry, lost my train of thought. Squirrel, blonde. You can do a 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy. My opinion is, if you don't want it related to COVID in any way, shape, or form, wait till April Fool's Day to serve the notice. Because then they can't possibly say that they were affected by, yeah, shiny object. They can't say they were affected by COVID. So I'm just trying to protect you from the COVID. I'm trying to protect you from the tenants' COVID protections. Wait till April Fool's Day, serve the notice on April 1st. Then they can't possibly say it has anything to do with the coronavirus. You asking them to get renter's insurance. So wait the full 30. What document, I can read, I promise. I'm okay. What document does the court need to show proof that the landlord applied for rental assistance? It's actually a 4-page cover sheet that goes on the front of your eviction that asks detailed information when you file the eviction. So your attorney, your legal counsel, will most definitely give you the 4-page cover sheet and ask you to answer the questions. When did you apply? What's your case number? Blah, blah, blah. It's in detail. It's in depth and breadth. It's no joke, okay? It's 4 pages of questions for you, and they're written in legal terms. So all of it isn't quite easy, and your legal counsel really has tried to simplify the process to the best of their ability. Trust me, I am familiar with several offices, policies, and procedures. So they'll help walk you through it. Don't fear it. Just know that's something new that we're up against. It's AD, BC, and AC, right? Before COVID and after COVID. We'll get it all figured out. What document does the court need to show proof that the landlord applied for rental assistance? Just talked to you about that. So not necessarily a document, but all the information. Shiny objects, yes. Much housekeeping to do. Raise rents, enforce renters insurance, pet rents, et cetera, kick out extra bodies. That's right. You're on the right track, Val. We are going to get our lives back, folks. We are going to be landlords again, and that actually mean what it meant 3 and 4 years ago, okay? It's happening. So don't see anything else on the docket extending COVID protections at this time. Could that change? Most definitely. But I don't see another extension, another assembly bill. I don't see that stuff sitting there looming over us. There was talk of it, but there's not talk of it now. I know we're heavy in the Omicron variant. Omicron. I always know if you rearrange the letters, it spells moronic. The reality of that is half the planet is going to get infected with that one. It's like a 10-day bad flu bug. I know, I speak from experience. I don't have any underlying health conditions that I'm aware of. Honestly, it acted like the flu bug for 10 days, and then I started to recover. For my daughter, who is 22 years old, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't do anything, young, athletic, she was ready to go back to work and back to 100% by day 10. So affects different people different ways. I get that. I understand that. Just so you guys know, I didn't even realize that I had it at first. I thought I had a sinus infection. It affected my sinuses. So it was all here. I was extremely exhausted. And it was all right here. Sinuses, sinus headache, sensitive to movement, sensitive to light. So it was almost like a migraine right here for about 5 days. And I probably coughed 10 times the entire time that I had it. So with that being said, for me, this was more of a sinus issue, exhaustion, and dehydration. Definitely the dehydration. It's no joke. Okay. So if you have it right now, I highly recommend, oh God, what did my daughter give me? It's called Liquid IV. Okay. And you buy it at like GNC. It's kind of like a Gatorade, but on steroids. When my daughter gave me that glass and said, drink this, and nausea is a problem with this variant that comes through. So you don't want to drink, you don't want to eat, you don't want to do anything but sleep. Trust me. She brought me this full glass. It had to be 22 ounces. And she's like, you drink all of that. Well, I drank about this much and had to stop and rest. But I realized just getting a couple ounces in me that that's what I probably needed to hit the curve and go on the other direction. So hydrate, 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 as much as I could say it. And I don't see any underlying effects from it, just so you guys know. People are living in a garage. Ouch. I'm thinking about that. Here's the problem, and this is me being honest with you guys, 100% transparent. Your attorney's going to tell you, yeah, let's go get them. It's not a habitable dwelling. But the other side of me sees the argument of COVID protections, and they're clearly written in the Senate bill. So we're almost to February, to March. I just want to tell you, hang on for 2 more months, just 2 more months, because then they can't say it's because of COVID. Yes, much to do about an ADU. Yes, exactly. Accessory dwelling units. Here's what I could tell you guys about ADUs, and I learned this years ago working at Hvac, and I mean years ago. Oh, here's our money girls coming. Ha, our money girls coming. Hey, April, I'm excited that you're here. Log on and we're going to ask you for a money update, okay? But right now we're talking about ADUs, accessory dwelling units. So because of the housing shortage, a lot of cities and or counties, etc., are allowing landlords to convert ADU units, accessory dwelling units. So you may be able to upgrade a garage to make it a habitable dwelling, and that be considered another unit that you could rent and have income with. When I'm talking about an ADU unit, okay, what I'm talking about is converting a garage into a studio apartment or something like that, okay? Here's what I could tell you about that stuff. If you guys don't get a certificate of occupancy from building and safety, you legally can't charge rent. Want me to say it again? If you can't get a certificate of occupancy from building and safety, you can't legally charge rent. So one of the things they were doing in the LA area right before the pandemic happened, and this was going hot and heavy for quite some time, is people were renting ADUs, specifically that did not have certificates of occupancy. So as it goes on and as that tenant stays there, and later down the road, 2-3 years from now, there's a hiccup and you end up in a legal battle, that's when they pull that out. Then the landlord may, I want to say most likely, but we'll say maybe, required to refund all of the rent paid for the term of the tenancy because there was no certificate of occupancy. Building and safety never said that it was a habitable dwelling. Okay, so be mindful of that. Also, if you guys are moving somebody in somewhere and there's a habitability issue at the move-in that you notice, don't move them in. They don't owe rent. From the second you handed them the keys, they don't owe rent. So do not move somebody into a habitability issue. What am I talking about? There's no heat there, then no rent's owed. And don't think that you can plug in a space heater and that counts. It doesn't. Okay, everybody understand? Heat is a big one, especially in an ADU. Heat just doesn't, you must provide heat. Okay, the law says you must provide heat. Okay. If you plan to get an ADU on a fourplex, now you are 5. Do rules change from residential? Yes. Absolutely. You're no longer 1 to 4 units. You're 5 or more, which puts you in multifamily. I know, Val, but if the tenant is renting it and you don't have a certificate of occupancy, then they don't owe rent. It's not habitable. That's all I'm trying to say. You guys be very careful with that. I've seen people have to refund $180,000 to a tenant because they never should have been allowed to collect rent. Talk about shocking. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to go to court one day and find out I got to give a tenant $180,000. No, not happening. So be careful with that. April, do you have a money update for us? And are you available to talk? I know you get busy sometimes.
I'm here, Patty.
Yay! Val will get back to you on the rental. April, do you have a money update for us? What you got?
I don't have money, but the program is getting stricter with the tenants. They're having them upload the lease agreement, the ledger, everything themselves. Plus, they're asking for photo ID.
Nice. So they're getting more and more strict on tenants that are applying this late in the game. What about your recertifications? Are we having any hiccups there?
They're just so delayed. That's basically what I'm getting. I've been calling every other day for certain tenants, and I'm being told the same thing, but the tenants are telling me different stories that they're getting. Basically everybody's just telling them that they have to just wait, and then they're being told no news is good news. They're behind because of the holidays and the pandemic, so it could take several months before we even get a payment.
Do you guys hear me when I say if you're already in eviction, stay there? It might be faster. Is this making sense now? Okay. And it looks like Val had a question for you, April.
Yes, you need to send it to them because they're trying to confirm the information we submit. So to make it go faster, give them what they're asking for.
Perfect. That makes total sense. I know that linking the two cases together can actually help tremendously. So if your tenant is applying, but your cases aren't linked together, I know linking those two cases together can help considerably. Anybody else have questions about applying for money, about money questions? We got April on here and she is our money guru, folks. So if you have something regarding the tenant rent relief program from the government, she's my go-to. April, I know you're up over $330,000 in collections from the pandemic. This is just on 5 apartment communities, correct?
Yes.
And would you say that the biggest reason for the delinquency is simply what? What were your tenants affected by COVID, or were they just taking advantage of the situation? Help me understand why you had such a bad, and you're in LA County, right?
Yeah, LA County. So honestly, I would say most of the tenants were working, but hours were cut. So they were affected by COVID. But at the same time, they were ordering Amazon, buying new cars and things like that. Because they were getting stimulus payments and they weren't paying the rent with it. So they had a lot of extra money and cash, and they just decided to buy a new car instead of pay us. So yeah.
And the program still paid you even though the tenant bought a new car?
Yes.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Good to know. These are the things.
Some of them were truly affected by COVID, and some of them were not. I even had some tenants that were assisted, and then they moved out because they knew they couldn't afford it anymore.
Yeah, we're seeing once that, I'm going to say this, you guys, don't run and go do this, okay? Because I don't want to cause a hiccup. For tenants that aren't complying and aren't responding or aren't actively participating in the program, there is something you can do to start eviction right now for non-payment of rent. Okay, contact your legal counsel because there is something you can do if you are just not getting paid. Okay, there is a trick in there. I knew it, but I'm trying to be careful what comes out of my mouth. But there is a trick in there. If you are not getting paid and your tenant is not complying with the program, you can most likely start an eviction right now. You don't have to wait any longer. Okay. And for tenants that were shopping on Amazon and buying new cars, they're still qualifying for the program. So that's good to know for some of us that are concerned that they may not get paid. It's kind of nice to know that there is a possibility. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about? Let me see what is on my chat. I just spoke to a rental assistance person yesterday who said they are just getting around to applications from December 1st through the 15th in Kern County. I applied for a few of those tenants on January 6th. Those don't look good. Even the news said the demand is more than the resources. Exactly. That's why I told you guys from the very beginning, run, go apply as quickly as you can, because eventually the money is going to run out. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Patty, I don't know if anybody has single family homes, but on the Housing is Key website, you can apply for mortgage relief as well.
Repeat that one more time because I can see somebody going right now. Wait, what did April just say? I could do what?
They started a mortgage relief program on the Housing is Key website. So if you are behind in your mortgage, you can ask for relief as well.
So if your tenant is MIA or is just being the biggest jerk ever, you can apply for mortgage relief through Housing is Key. That's awesome.
And it's in every language, just like the rental assistance.
Okay, that's awesome news. That is great news for our landlords, especially the ones that are heavily exposed currently. All right, does anybody have, must they be late? They have to be behind in order for you to apply for the money. Oh, you're asking if your mortgage has to be late. April?
I actually just noticed that like 2 days ago, so I haven't read through it, but I did hear from somebody else that you have to be past due at least 2 payments.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was in December. So in December, if you were behind and you're behind in January, then you can apply.
Well, if you're behind 2 payments, and this is the real estate broker and me talking, then you're still okay. Once you're behind 3 payments, they can serve you with a notice of default.
Yes.
And then that would then start the foreclosure process if they don't have any more funds. And they have to wait 120 days from the notice of default to the notice of trustee sale. Just so you guys understand that process. So you're looking at 4 months and 3 months. It's a total of 7 months before they could legally foreclose. Jay, my tenant got 3 months money and didn't pay me. Now they don't want to pay more unless the tenant pays me the previous money. Contact an attorney. Sounds like you got a small claims case against the tenant. Okay, contact an attorney. You guys don't even know how many of these types of things happen as an accident. And now the tenant is holding the rent monies hostage that they got from the federal government. Here's the long and the short of that, okay? It's misappropriation of federal funds. Whew. Ouch. So if the tenant's holding the funds hostage, that could be criminal. And because it's federal funds, it would be that type of a crime. So you may want to sweetly and nicely tell them, but I'd talk to an attorney. Talk to your attorney. Okay, lots of stuff here from April. Hold on.
I just basically put up the criteria for the
Thank
mortgage.
you. Thank you, April.
You're welcome.
Eligible homeowners for the California mortgage relief must meet the criteria as stated below. So there's what you guys need for the mortgage relief. Thank you, April. What other reasons to evict if non-payment, just payment 4 years, City of LA, not legal unit? Okay, Teresa, I'm trying to understand this. Bear with me. What other reasons can you do an eviction if you can't do non-payment? And I'm assuming you're under RSO is why you are in LA City. You can do a nuisance also, but it's got to be a pretty bad nuisance. Hold on really quick, and I'm going to look up my list for you. I'm assuming you want to know LA County, correct, Teresa? Hi, Tony. What about the tenants who left due to a lockout owing rent? I applied in August last year because my understanding of this would be covering those rents. So they owe me over 20,000. Now I was told by rent relief yesterday that the tenant still needs to apply in order to get paid. I emailed the tenant after I applied like you suggested, Patty. I also called and left her a message. She has not responded. Can I still get rent relief for that rent owed during COVID? Any suggestions? Thank you. Yes, you could possibly still get rent relief if the tenant applies. Your other option is to sue in small claims court, and you can file that lawsuit now because they vacated. If they were still in possession, you would not be able to do it, but because they vacated, you can file a lawsuit in small claims now. So contact legal counsel. And you guys, this is me talking to you, okay? Watch out for small claims cases. Please hear what I'm trying to tell you, okay? They made COVID rents that are due consumer debt. It's not landlord tenant debt, it's consumer debt. What is consumer debt? It's like having a credit card that didn't get paid, okay? You can go after them if they cross state lines, if it's consumer debt. If it's landlord tenant debt, you cannot. The debt is also unassignable. What does that mean in simple English? It means that your attorney cannot collect those funds for you. You have to do it. A collection agency cannot collect those funds for you. You have to do it. It's unassignable. You can't assign that debt to anyone. You have to pursue it. So we're going to see a lot of our legal counsel offer services to help with small claims. And believe it or not, mark my words, you will be nickeled and dimed. And I'll explain to you the why so you understand. Usually, small claims in a law firm is a very quick, easy process. They charge a flat fee, they file all the paperwork, they find the tenant for you, you show up at the court case. That was BC, before COVID. Now we're after COVID, it's gonna change. If it's COVID rents that you're trying to sue for and get that money judgment for in small claims court, please know that that debt is unassignable. So your legal counsel is going to charge you to file the small claims case, to find the tenant. They are going to nickel and dime you for every step of that process. And let me explain why. There's no money in it for them. Usually when you hire them to do a small claims case and then you split the profits, usually a 50-50, sometimes a 60-40 split on the collection. You can't do that this time. You have to collect it yourself. So they are going to hold your hand through the process and help you get a writ of execution issued over to the sheriff's department so you can start a wage garnishment. The law office will help you with every little step, but they're going to charge you for it because in the big long run, there's no money in it for them. There's no 60-40 split. There's no 50-50 split. It all comes to you because you can't assign the debt to anybody. Make sense? So when you start looking and they're charging you ridiculous amounts to do a small claims case because of COVID rent, That would be why. I hope for everybody that makes full sense and comes full circle, okay? Okay. LA City not under RSO, built in 2003, not legal unit number, rent. Not legal unit number, rent pre-COVID. Hold on, Teresa, I gotta go back and see what you're trying to do there. What other reasons can you evict? Hold on. In LA City, not under RSO, you can evict for a nuisance. You can evict for a cause unrelated to COVID. And I'd contact your attorney about what you can do, okay? Because you have a little more teeth because you're not under RSO. Is a verbal notice to vacate from a tenant acceptable? Never, never, ever. If so, can rent be prorated if the 30-day ends in the middle of the month? If they don't move by February 10th, which is the 30 days, can I evict? They are current. Verbal notice to vacate doesn't count from a tenant. It must be in writing. And I don't mean a text message and I don't mean an email. I mean, it's got to be with pen and ink on a piece of paper. From what I understand and what I recall, it has to have the property address, the date on which they intend on vacating, and be signed by the tenant. Okay? That would be a valid notice to vacate. After COVID, AC, or before COVID, if they failed to vacate, we could use that 30-day notice to terminate the tenancy that they gave us to evict them because they didn't get out when they said they were going to. Have I done it before? Absolutely. Have I won? Absolutely. Because of COVID right now, you don't have those teeth. So in LA County, if the tenant serves you notice to vacate and they don't vacate, you continue on with the tenancy. Okay? We can't do an eviction based on their failure to vacate on a notice they gave us. Not because of COVID. I was able to get a monetary judgment during COVID with the help of my attorney because the tenants didn't pay February 2020 rent. Yeah, go Tony. I was hoping to go through rent relief to get paid from tenants for April and onward. I just don't understand why they won't apply because they don't want the government in their business, girl. I have a copy of their COVID positive test when they were trying to use it to prevent the lockout. Tenants, God love them. I would start a small claims case against them if it were me, Tony. Val, so a few of my tenants receive relief, great for all. However, my rents are low. I'm still gearing up to raise all rents on or before April 1st, effective May 1st. Hold on. So you're going to serve the notice on April Fool's Day. And then it'll take effect on May 1st. I got you. It just took a while for that to go through my little blonde brain today. Apparently, I need better sleep. Okay. Even though I already feel the backlash, one tenant even asked me if I was raising rents and said they can't afford more, then they can move. And one of the here's, and I'll get to you, Karen, just hang on. One of the things that I could tell you is this: whenever you raise rents, that's when tenants tell you everything that's broken on the property. So if you raise rents, you usually get a huge amount of repair requests, okay? They go hand in hand together. Don't let that upset you. It's normal, okay? So when you raise rents and you ask for more money, that's when they tell you about everything that's broken. So be prepared for that. They go hand in hand together. Don't let it upset you, okay? With that being said, let me go back to my question because squirrel. Let me reboot and reload. In corporate America, we raised rents statistically at the expiration of your rental contract. Okay? If the landlord wanted to. We always ask the landlord, did you want to do a rent increase? You can do this much. This is the industry standard, blah, 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 blah. With that being said, a lot of times a tenant would come to us and say, I can't pay $100 increase. You're going to force me to move out. We then would say, thanks for letting us know. We'll let the owner know. Then we'd go back to the owner and say, hey, they threatened to move out. Well, then the owner might come forward and say, let's not do $100 increase. Let's do a $50 increase and see if that keeps them there. Can you do all of that? Absolutely. Okay. So keep that in mind. When you're going for the rent, you always want to do the max increase. And if they can't, sometimes you need to find a balance in between to keep them there. Remember, it's kind of like a divorce. It's cheaper to keep her. Just saying, because when you flip a vacant, you're now looking at paint, carpet, flooring, landscaping. You want me to keep going? Or are we on the same page, folks? Advertising, downtime. Yeah. So we want to keep those units rented. We want to keep bodies in there. It keeps our cash flow nice. So keep that in mind when you're doing increases. If they come to you and say that they can't do it, then you may want to not do such a high increase to try to keep them there. But at the end of the day, folks, this is what you need to remember. This is business. Okay. If they're not going to pay $10 more and you're going to raise the rent $10 and that's going to cause them to move, here's my opinion. Bye-bye. Especially if you have no rentals in your town. Makes total sense, right? Supply, demand. So if they're not on board with the rent increase, they can just keep on moving. Mind you guys, when the shift comes, when the ceiling comes crashing down, when the market changes, everything I'm telling you right now needs to change with it so that we're not at the airport waiting for our ships to come in. Okay. We have to stay active with what's going on. If rents are still going up and we're still spiking, then you're okay with doing increases. But once that plateaus and things start crumbling, because historically that happens every 10 to 15 years. Okay. I'm not telling you anything that is rocket science or something nobody knows about. Historically, the real estate market crashes every 10 to 15 years. We're there now, right now. Okay. When that happens, we are going to have to make adjustments to continue to function with our business. If we don't, we're going to be at the airport waiting for our ship to come in and it's going to be bad. So as the market fluctuates and changes and starts to shift, please pay attention, you guys. I've ridden through one of these before as a regional manager. I know how it works. So I can help you hold on to your asset rather than losing it. Okay. When that shift happens, you have to be quick on your feet of shifting with it. No joke. Okay. No joke. And I am not talking anything about COVID. I'm talking about today market value is $2,500 and next month the market crashed and now current rents are $1,200. How are you going to keep that tenant that's currently in the property so that you don't have to flip a vacant? Because that's expensive too. Okay. So as it changes and as it fluctuates and as you start hearing those things, don't panic. Just reach out to me. I've been here before. I've walked down this road. It's not fun. It's kind of scary. It's extremely entertaining because all these people have to live somewhere. But I'm anticipating a change. I know it's coming. So buckle up, you guys, and be ready for that. We've been filling up our buckets while the grunion are running. We can't do it forever. Is backdating illegal? Most likely. Zero rentals in my small. Patty cannot answer that. Thank you so much. It is more like over $100 a month rent increase. I know, you guys, but when it crashes, it's not going to be an increase. You're going to have to do everything in your power to keep the tenant that's in there as market value goes spiraling into the toilet. And I'm trying to be as honest as I can. Okay. had one of my houses, and I'll use this as an example just so you guys will go, oh, okay. Had a house in Apple Valley in 2006. I've had it for a long time. I've had it longer than that. Tenant's rent was currently $1,400, and that was under market value considerably, like by $200, for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, nothing fancy, single family residence in Apple Valley. Market crashed. Within 3 months, I needed to lower my rent to $895 in order to keep my tenant there. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. You got to move quick when that happens, because tenants will move on you. And I get it. We all need to live somewhere, but you don't want them to move. You want to hold on to them, because if they move, you now are dealing with a vacant unit in a down market, and you're trying to paint and carpet and flip it and get it re-rented. And that's when the concession wars start, also known as move-in specials, and they just start. And that's what happens. You know, we've all seen it before years ago. $500 moves you in. Wow. Can you guys imagine if we were having to do that right now? I mean, wow. So it can happen. When it happens, it'll happen very quickly. And stay tuned, folks. Regarding rent increases and tenants complaining about minor repairs, should issues be repaired before raising the rent? Erin, I love you. They are not going to tell you about the issues until you raise the rent. Does that make sense? In other words, they're keeping quiet that the garbage disposal doesn't work properly because they are paying under market value. As soon as you go to raise the rent, then they're going to tell you, oh, by the way, the garbage disposal is broken. They go hand in hand together. Okay. When you ask for more rent, you statistically across the board get more requests for service, more repair requests. It just goes hand in hand together. I'll give you another example of something that goes hand in hand together. And I have 3 of them. You raise the rents, they complain about things that are broken. They go hand in hand together. Another tenant tells you in your community that there's a horrific smell. You're probably looking for something that's deceased, whether it be an animal or a human. No joke. If you got a bad smell complaint, you're probably looking for something that's dead. So put that in your mind right here. So when and or if you come across it, you can remain composed. Okay. The other one that goes hand in hand together is mostly in a single family residence. When the tenant tells you we need additional trash cans, it's because they have additional occupants. They go hand in hand together. They don't realize they're calling to tell on themselves, but they are. So those are 3 things that you guys can watch out for that just go hand in hand together. You know, if you're going to raise the rents, be ready, because you're going to get repair requests. They go hand in hand together. So I'm just trying to tell you it's normal. Typical tenant activity, TTA. Okay. Typical tenant activity. I hope that all made sense to you guys, because sometimes I can ramble. Yes, unleash the Kraken. For a plumbing clog repair, should I just send them the bill to repay me? Here's the problem. Stephen, you need to know what caused the plug. Okay, here's me talking to you. Technically, under wear and tear law, clogged plumbing can happen twice annually as wear and tear. Okay, so let me give you an example. You have someone in a property that has long hair like me. It's not that long, but it's long. It's probably because I'm short. It appears longer than it actually is, but it's an optical illusion. Trust me, I have longer hair. Okay, that being said, those of us with longer hair tend to clog up drains in the shower, etc. From brushing our hair, washing our hair, etc. We tend to get clogged drains more often. Okay. With that being said, if every other month you're having to clear a clogged drain because somebody has hair that's 4 feet long, then that exceeds normal wear and tear. Normal wear and tear for a plugged drain is twice annually. Anything more than that could be considered excessive and could be billed back to the tenant. But you do not want to ding them if they have one plugged drain in a 3-year time period. That's unreasonable. Okay, so we got to be careful with those. But yes, are they responsible for it? Yes, but don't forget about normal wear and tear. Now, if they find G.I. Joe in the toilet, whole different set of facts. Oh no, I want to keep G.I. Joe. I'm going to sue you to fix that toilet. You're responsible for all these repairs. That's damage. Okay, I'm trying, you guys. So know the difference between damage and wear and tear. It will make or break you in this industry. A lot of people don't understand that not having a key to the mailbox is a habitability issue. And not having window screens on every window that opens also is a habitability issue, and no rent is owed. Learn what your habitabilities are. They will make or break you in this industry. How do you find out what habitability issues are? Reach out to your legal counsel. And here's a good one. Check on the Department of Consumer Affairs. Broken window, a habitability issue, no rent owed. If the tenant broke the window, different set of facts. Still a habitability issue, still needs to be corrected, but now you get to bill the expense back to the tenant because it's damage they caused. What about a broken window if the tenant has been in the property for only 14 months? Is this damage? How did the window get broken? Was it broken on your move-in inspection? Usually when you send a workman out there to look at a window, just so you guys know, they can tell whether it got broken from the outside in or the inside out. So while they're there assessing the damage, ask for a cause. Because I'll tell you right now, if it came from within the unit to the outside, that's the tenant all day long and twice on Sundays. If it came from the outside in, it could be the tenant, but most likely that one's going to fall on you unless you have witnesses. Do you have your own habitability issue lists besides online for what a tenant is responsible for fixing? Example, tenant broke the garbage disposal years ago, 2 years ago with knife cuts, manufacturing, etc. Refuses to pay any damages he did, assessed over the phone. He's been there for 6 years. Hold on. Habitability issues aren't necessarily a garbage disposal. Garbage disposal isn't a habitability issue unless the landlord refuses to repair it. Then it could become a habitability issue after 30 days. A garbage disposal is considered an amenity. Amenities become habitability issues when they aren't repaired for more than 30 days. Then the tenant has the right to repair and deduct. Tenants have rights too when it comes to repairs. Be careful. Okay, so there's a lot of moving parts there. And if I need to, I will do a class on habitability issues. I just need you guys to tell me. Do a class on habitability issues. Do all PO boxes need a key? For the most part, yes. But what I'm talking about is a lot of houses have cluster boxes where there's just a box, you know, a cluster box of mailboxes at the street, and those are locked. If you move your tenant in and there's locked mechanisms on the mailbox and they don't have a key, you just move them into a habitability issue. You have to provide a key to a locking mailbox. Okay. Window screens, cracked windows, door locks, window locks, no heat, no hot water. I could keep going on of what a habitability issue is, you guys. There's a bunch of them out there. And I'd be more than happy to educate you. That's my job here, is to keep you guys educated. So if I need to do a class on habitability and what that means, then we shall do that. Let's do that in February, you guys. I'm with you. Okay, we're doing it. We're doing it. Okay, you guys, I'm in. Most common window screens, hot water, heating. Okay. heating, cracked windows, broken windows, window screens, window locks, door locks. These are all habitability issues. The tenant doesn't owe rent. Leaky drains, plugged drains. So it has to do with drainage and plumbing. I'll teach you guys everything I know about habitability issues. I'll share a story with you. A landlord called us one day, and this is over a decade ago. Okay. So not even in the last 10 years. Landlords only call us when they need help. Let's face it. And I'm talking about working in a professional management company, managing people's investments. So this landlord calls us, he hires us, he wants us to get the tenant out. First thing I do is serve a 24-hour notice to enter to do necessary or agreed upon repairs. I walk up to the door and I introduce myself as the property manager and say that I'm now the new manager of this property, and I'd like to know if she has any repairs that need to be addressed. So she takes me around the house and shows me this slow drain in one of the bathroom sinks. She turns on the water, counts to 10, and this bowl is full at that point. She shuts off the water and it takes a while for it to drain out. That is a problem, just so you guys know. And I know this is a problem. So I'm taking notes as I'm going through the house, and I tell her, okay, here's a new 24-hour notice for tomorrow for necessary or agreed upon repairs. And she said, what's this for? And I said, well, this is for the workmen to come in tomorrow and fix all these issues you just pointed out to me. And she goes, I'm not going to let him in. He's going to mess my case up. I want to get paid and get my money back, and I'm not going to get evicted over this. And I looked at her and I said, well, if you don't let me in, you will. And I left. And the next day she didn't let me in, and I evicted her for failure to allow entry. So again, when you have somebody in that mindset that is building a case and you come along and just throw a monkey wrench in their plans, it can get a little heated in the industry. Okay. And I'll leave my statement at that, but I will never forget that. She looked at me and said, but you're going to mess my case up. Well, hi, I'm not going to make it so you don't have a case. That's my goal. Okay. Let me see. What about battery operated smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors versus hardwire? Is that a habitability issue, state law, and multi-units? Okay, hold on. Deep breath. It is now a 10-year life battery in those smoke detectors and CO2 detectors. You cannot change the batteries in them. Okay, in the new ones that are out, they do not run off a 9-volt battery. They have a lithium battery in them that cannot be changed. The detector needs to be replaced every 10 years. Okay, just so you guys understand that. Habitability issue is you must have smoke detectors in the house. That's the habitability issue. Okay, whether they're hardwired or they're battery operated is irrelevant. Okay, but you are required to have them in there. And CO2, if the tenant removes them, the tenant is creating a habitability issue. Therefore, they are creating a nuisance. Therefore, you should be able to do an eviction. So if you go to a property, every time you go there and the tenant has unplugged the CO2 detector from the outlet and it is in a drawer somewhere, for lack of a better explanation, then they are creating a nuisance by removing that safety device. Ha ha ha. Same thing when they take the batteries out of smoke detectors. They are creating a nuisance because if there were a fire there, they could be injured and they're contributing to that injury. Okay, HVAC filter, hold on. HVAC filter, I've been changing those. Who's responsible? I used normal AOA forms. Teresa, here's the reality. An HVAC filter tells us a huge story. So I would never leave that responsibility to a tenant. Well, what do I mean by it tells us a story? If your tenant's smoking in the unit, whether it be cigarettes or marijuana, your HVAC filter is going to pick up that residue and it's going to reek. And you're going to be able to pinpoint they're smoking in your unit. And there's your evidence. I don't ever want to give that evidence to a tenant. I want to keep it for myself. Also, if you need to get into a unit to change the HVAC filter, and I do it twice annually, it's a great reason to get into the property. Okay. You are asking me who is responsible? Technically, that is maintenance. Maintenance falls on the landlord, not on the tenant. It's their responsibility to notify you if there's a problem, but it is your responsibility to maintain habitable premises. So the maintenance falls on you, not on the tenant. Do we need a smoke detector in every bedroom? Yes, or they could be in a common hallway at the end of a bedroom along with the CO2 detector. So, and I would check with fire or building and safety in your area to verify and make sure that this hasn't changed. But in some situations, they put a CO2 and a smoke detector in a hallway that has 3 bedroom doors, but there's not individual smoke detectors in each bedroom, but there is one there in front of those doorways. So you need to check and see what your restrictions are with building and safety in the city that you're in. But for the most part, no, Jay, you don't. So we need to make sure that the detectors has the 10-year battery. I know mine does not. Cheaper to get 10-year battery versus hardwire? Absolutely. If your property isn't hardwired, then you're talking about running electrical throughout your whole shebang. And here's what I could tell you about hardwire versus battery. I hate hardwire. Okay. For us property managers, hardwire is a pain in the ass because if one of your detectors is faulty, and it happens sometimes, maybe not the battery, maybe it just decided it was going to up and break one day. Okay. What it does is it sets off all of the smoke detectors in the whole house because they're all hardwired together. So if one goes off, they all start going off. So it takes a while to figure out which one's the culprit, which one's the problem, how do we fix it? So sometimes hardwiring can be more of a hindrance than helpful, especially when you have a bad smoke detector and you're trying to track it down. They don't always put off the error code of red. Usually there's a code red or green. Green means good, red is bad. That's usually your problem. Not always the case, okay? And I am known for chasing down smoke detector and CO2 detectors that are beeping. I cannot stand the sound. It drives me absolutely bonkers, okay? I remember telling my son one day, and you guys might get a chuckle out of this. I'm 4'8" for those of you that have not met me in person. I am not even 5 feet tall. So my son comes home one day and I hand him a 9-volt battery and he says, "What's this?" And I reach behind my door, I grab my 12 gauge shotgun, I rack it up and I said, "Either you change the battery in that smoke detector or I'm eliminating it." And he looked at me funny and he said, "Mom, you'd use a 12 gauge in your own house to blow a hole in your own roof because the smoke detector was going off?" And I said, "Yes. And if you don't change it, you will join it." Hurry up. I just can't stand the beeping. It drives me bonkers. Okay. I got lots of questions here. I moved a tenant into a brand new unit. Now they've been living there for over 6 years. They broke a slat from the blind. The wand and cords still worked. I was not aware of it being damaged until they were given notice to move. They claimed habitability issue. We replaced it and hold on a minute. Tony, they claimed that the broken window slat was a habitability issue because it is not. We replaced it and did custom work to replace new blinds. Blinds are not a habitability issue. I am responsible for the blinds they damaged. I have another unit. The blinds are over blank years old and are still fine. Same brand and model. Am I responsible for the blinds after a certain time has passed? No, if they're functioning, they're functioning. If they're not functioning, then be honest about it and say that they're not functioning and they need to be repaired. If they have one broken slat, then charge them to repair that broken slat. If you cannot repair the broken slat, then you must replace the whole window blind. In the event that you can't match the other window blinds, then they would be responsible for all of it. See how that worked? Okay. A tenant who has been there approximately 4 years is now asking for new flooring. They have pets. The carpet was not brand new since we knew they were bringing in dogs. I'm ready to raise the rent anyway. However, I'm hesitant to put anything in the house with several dogs. In all fairness, carpeting can be considered a habitability issue. If it's threadbare, if it's a tripping hazard, sometimes they get those rolls in them and we have to re-stretch the carpet because it becomes a tripping hazard over time. These are things you want to address. So if they wore out the carpet and it's just worn out from them living there, get them new carpet. But here's my opinion, not my advice. Stop buying carpet in residential rentals. Stop it, okay? It's a cheap, easy fix. You have to replace it every time a tenant comes. If you spend a little bit more money at Hello and put in a ceramic tile or a wood floor, and when I say a little bit more money, it's honestly not much. Do the price comparison for wood floor versus carpeting versus ceramic tile and see the money difference. Over the course of time, you will spend less money if you buy the ceramic tiles or do the wood flooring, because then you're not putting in new carpet every time you're flipping a vacant. In LA City Code, I was required to put in SD hardwire and still have two. Hold on. In LA City Code, okay, see how she's talking about LA City? She was required to put in hardwire smoke detectors. Okay, yeah, it just depends on the city, the municipality that governs you. And again, I hate to say this, you guys, but in heavily populated areas, you find heavy restrictions for landlords. Example, we're seeing that a lot right now in the San Francisco Bay Area, in LA City area, and in San Diego County area. The heavily populated areas have heavy protections for tenants and many more restrictions for landlords. So if you want to avoid them, get out of heavily populated areas. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay. Hang on, I see more stuff coming up. LA City Code was required. Okay, smoke detectors. I got you. Every city's different. My HOA doesn't allow replacement of carpet. Huh? Your homeowners association doesn't allow you to put carpet in your own unit? My HOA doesn't allow replacement of carpet, hold on, with hard floor. Okay, there's a reason why. It's because you probably have upstairs units and the people, when they're putting in the hardwood, aren't putting in the sound barrier layer. There's a sound barrier layer that you can put in on wood flooring so that it diminishes the sound that you get. And that may be why your HOA doesn't allow it. So you may want to notify your HOA of the new technology regarding the sound barrier that they can put between the floors. That's most likely why they won't allow hardwood flooring in your community. All the responsibilities and no rights. You got it. I gotcha. Okay, does anybody have anything else? I just realized we're 15 minutes over. Thank you for spending your lunch with me. I love you guys. And if nobody has anything else, I will let you go. I didn't mean to occupy your day. So can I deduct from their security deposit for the blind that they damaged in the living room? This happened in December of 2019. Yes. If you want to wait until they vacate and then charge them out of their deposit, yes. For now, I can't evict them because of COVID protections in the unincorporated areas of LA County and RSO. I understand, but you can put that damages on their disposition of security deposit when they vacate. I hope that helped. Always when they vacate. All right, if nobody has anything else, You guys have a wonderful week. I will see you next week. Next month, we'll do a class on habitability issues, so you guys have a better understanding of what's considered habitability versus what's not, because it's chipping, peeling paint. It's worn flooring. I mean, there's a lot of issues that can be considered habitability, and any amenity that isn't fixed within 30 days becomes a habitability issue. Example, you have a pool, okay, that's an amenity. And even in a single family residence, the pool pump goes out. It's out for more than 30 days. The tenant can fix that pool pump and deduct it from their rent. The tenant can withhold rent because now that amenity becomes a habitability issue because the landlord didn't address it in 30 days. Okay, so lots of stuff to talk about regarding habitability issues, and I will put together a webinar for us in February. Okay, so watch for that. You ask and you shall receive, folks. All right, you guys have a great week. Thank you again. Tons of more questions. Oh, thank you, you guys. I love being able to share my knowledge and experience with you. It means the world to me. All right, you guys stay tuned. I'll see you next week. Oh, and just so you guys know, we'll be coming to you live from Las Vegas. So Wednesday we'll be live in Vegas. Thanks, you guys. I'll see you Wednesday. Bye.